everyone, I am Karen Faith P. Lotino. So in this video, I will be discussing the softball rule 1 to 4. So first is the rule number 1, which is the definition. So in this rule, it has a 105 section. So first section is the altered bat. So a bat is altered when the physical structure of a legal bat has been changed. So matatawag siyang alter bat if napalitan yung structure ng bat. For example is pinalitan yung handle na metal into wooden or other type of handle na then inserting material inside the bat, applying excessive tape more than 2 layers on the bat grip, or painting the bat at the top or bottom for other than identification purposes. So, tatawag siyang altered bat. Next is the section 2, which is the appeal play. So, the appeal play, a live or dead ball appeal is a player situation in which an umpire cannot make decision unless requested by a manager, coach, or players of the non-offending team. So in this appeal play, a live or dead ball kapag hindi siya or hindi maka-decide yung umpire. So note that a coach or manager may only make a dead ball appeal after stepping onto the playing field. So hindi sila makabigay or makagawa ng dead ball appeal if hindi sila makapasok sa mismong field. So next section, which is the section 3, the ball compression. So ball compression is the load force in kilogram, which is ito na yung weight or measurement of the ball in kilogram or pound required to compress a softball, which is a 6.5 millimeter or a 0.25 inches when measured in accordance with the ASTM or American Society for Testing and Material test method for measuring compression displacement of softballs. So next, let's proceed to the section 4, which is the ball core. The coefficient of restitution of the softball when measured with the ASTM or the American Society for Testing and Material. So test method for measuring the coefficient of restitution of softball. Next section, which is section 5, the baseline. A baseline is the direct line between the bases. So ito na yung mismong linya sa between the bases. Next section is the section 6, which is the base on balls. So FP and SP stands for first pitcher and the second pitcher. Ang base nila, a base on balls occurs kapag 4 pitchers are judged by the plate umpire to be balls, including illegal pitches. The batter is awarded first base. This is sometimes referred to as a walk. So the first pitcher, the ball is alive, but the second pitcher, ball is dead. Next is section 7, the base path. Base path is the direct line between base and the runner's position at the time of defensive player is attempting to tag a runner. Next section is the section 6, which is the batted ball. So ang batted ball is any ball that hits the bat. So kapag natamaan na yung bola ng mismong bat. So or is hit by the bat and land either in fair or fault territory. So, no intention to hit the ball is necessary. Next is section 6, which is the batter. A batter is an offensive player. So, sila yung mismong naglalaro, who enters the batter's box with the intention of aiding his team to score runs. He continued to be batter until he is either declared out by the umpire or he become a batter runner. So, continue lang siya na magiging batter kapag na-out na siya ng umpire or pag siya na ulit yung maging batter runner. Okay? So, next is the section 10, which is the batter's box. So, ang batter's box is, yan na yung area na kung saan yung batter is nag-restricted while in position with the intention of helping his team to obtain runs. So, the lines are considered as being within the batter's box. Next section is the section 11, the batter runner. So, ang batter runner is, yan na yung player na kung saan has a finish to return at the bat, but has not yet been put out or touched the first base. Next is the section 12 rather, which is the batting order. The batting order is the official listing of the offensive players in the order in which members of that team must come to bat. So, when the lineup card is submitted, it shall also include each player's position. So, yan na yung pagkasunod-sunod or yung listing ng members mo. Then, next is the section 13, which is the blocked ball. Ang blocked ball is a batted. Kumbaga natamaan na siya, throw or pitch ball, na kung saan, first, become lodged in the fencing or is touched, stopped, or handled by the person not engaged in the team. So, magiging block siya pag tumama siya sa fence or fencing, pag nahawakan, na-stop, or na-stop siya nung taong hindi kasali sa laro. Or, letter C, touches any object that is not part of the official equipment or playing area. Or number 4 is touched by the defensive player who is in contact with the ground that is not part of the playing area. A thrown ball touching a base coach accidentally in or out of the coach's box is not block ball. So, hindi siya maging block ball pag nahawakan siya ng coach accidentally. Even though nasa loob or nasa labas siya ng coach's box. So, hindi siya block ball. Next is the section 14 rather, which is the bunt. So, sa first, this is included for the first pitcher lang. So, a bunt is a batted ball not swung at, but intentionally met with the bat or tapped slowly within the playing field. Next is the section 15, which is the catch. So, ang catch is a legally caught ball. Yan na yung pag hawak mo sa bola or pag-catch mo sa bola, which occurs when the fielder touches a batted or thrown ball with his hand or gloves. Ang catch is, yan yung pag-catch mo sa mismong bola na nabatman siya or githrow ba siya with your hand or glove. So, first is establishing a valid catch. The fielder shall hold the ball long enough to prove the ball is securely held or that the release of the ball is voluntary and intentional. If the player dropped the ball after reaching into the glove to remove it or while in the act of throwing, it is a valid catch. Letter B, if the ball is merely held in the fielder's arm or prevented from dropping into the ground by some part of the fielder body, equipment, or clothing, the catches is not completed until the ball is in the grasp of the fielder's hand or glove. So, kapag ang bola is nahulog siya, hindi, or dapat kasi makakatch mo siya na hindi ko siya mahulog talaga, nag-grasp talaga siya ng kamay mo or ng glove. Letter C is the fielder's feet must be within the field or play, touching the out of play line of being in the air after leaving live ball territory in order to have a valid catch. So, pag yung fielder o yung, kumbaga, yung tig-catch ng bola, pag hindi siya sa mismong field or leaving live ball territory, valid catch siya. So, if the player has controlled the ball when returning to the ground in the out of play area, it is a valid catch. Kapag yung player isa control niya naman yung bola habang gabalik siya doon sa mismong ground, so it will be valid catch. Letter D, it is not a catch if a fielder collides with another player, umpire or offense or falls to the ground and drop the ball as a result of the collision or falling to the ground. So, hindi siya ma-consider na na-catch mo siya pag nabitawan mo siya. Kapag, example, yung nabangga ka, tapos nahulog yung bola. So, hindi siya gina-consider na na-catch mo talaga yung bola. Last is a batted ball striking anything other than a defensive player while it is in flight is ruled the same as it is struck the ground. Okay. Next section, let's move to the section 16, which is the catching box. The catcher's box is that area within which the catcher must remain. So, ang catcher's box, yan na yung kung saan makikita mo yung catcher. Doon nakaposition yung catcher. Or remain until for the first pitcher only. So, the pitcher is released. The lines are to be considered within the catcher's box. Letter B, for the second pitcher only, the pitched ball is batted, touches the ground, plate or batter, or reaches the catcher's box. The line are not to be considered within the catcher's box. The catcher is considered within the box except when touching the ground outside the catcher's box. Next section is the Section 17, the charge conference. A charge conference takes place when offensive conference is the offensive team requests a suspension of play or delays play to allow the manager or other team representative to confer with any member of their team. Next is for the defensive conference. The defensive team requests a suspension of play to allow a representative of the defensive team to enter the playing field to communicate with any defensive player, or a fielder leaves his position and give to the dugout and give the umpire a reason to believe that he received instruction. So it is not change conference if the coach or manager notifies the plate umpire of the change of a pitcher either before or after communicating with the pitcher. Okay. Next is the section 18, the chopped ball. Chopped ball or a chop hit ball is one at which the batted strikes downward with a chopping motion of the bat so that the ball bounces high into the air. So, matawag siyang chop ball kapag ang batter na strike niya yung bola downward, like chopping, kumbaga yung pag ganun. So, the motion of the ball, of the bat, so that the ball bounce high into the air. Next section is the 19th section rather, which is the coach. First, a coach is a person. Siya na yung tao na kung saan siya yung responsible for the team actions on the field. And siya yung nag-represent ng team in communication with the umpire and opposing team. A player may be designated as a coach in the event the coach is absent or that player is playing coach. For the purpose of this rule, the manager of the team is considered to be a head coach. So, meron tayong dalawang coach, yung coach and the head coach. Next section, the 20th section, the throat chop. This is for the first pitcher only. So, a throat chop is defined as the act of a pitcher who does not push off from the pitcher's plate to deliver a ball. This is an illegal act. If the pitcher step off the pitcher's plate, thereby establishing a second impetus or starting point, and then pushes off from the new starting point and complete the delivery. Next section is the 21 section, the dead ball. So, the dead ball is one that touches only object that is not part of the official equipment or officially played area, or a player or person not engaged in the game. So, maging dead ball siya kapag nahawakan siya ng any object na hindi siya part ng official equipment or official playing area. And also, maging dead ball din siya pag nahawakan siya ng mismong tao na hindi kasali sa laro. And lunges in the umpire's gear or in an offensive player's clothing. So, dead ball siya pag tumama siya sa umpire's gear and tumama siya sa offensive player clothing. The umpire has ruled dead. Next section is the section 22, which is the defensive team. So, defensive team is a team in the field. Sila yung nasa field mismo. Next is section 23, the delayed dead ball. Ang delayed dead ball is, ito na yung sitwasyon na kung saan ang bola is remain alive kapag ay until the conclusion of a play. So, when the entire play is completed, if required, the umpire shall rule a dead ball and enforce the appropriate ruling. Next section is section 24, the designated player. So, the designated player is a starting offensive player na kung saan sila yung a player who bats in the lineup for the flex player listed in the 10th position on the lineup card. So, next is let's move to the section 25, the dislodge base. A dislodge base is a base displaced from its proper position. Next is section 26, the double play. A double play is a play by the defense in which two offensive players are legally put out as a result of continuous action. Next is section 25, the dugout. A dugout rather. Dugout is an area in dead ball territory designated for players, coaches, bat boys or girls, and official representative of a team only. So, there shall be no smoking in this area. Next is section 28, the ejection from the game. Ang ejection is the act of an umpire ordering a player, official, or any team member to leave the game and the ground for the rule violation for the remainder of the game. Next is section 29, the fair ball. A fair ball is legally batted ball na kung saan first is settles or is touched on or over fair territory between home and first base and between home and third base. Next is bunts past first or third base on or over fair territory regardless of where the ball hits after going over the base. Next is touches first or touches first, second, and third base. Next, while on or over fair territory touches the person or clothing of the umpire or player. First fall on first territory beyond first and third base. Next is while over fair territory passed out of the playing field beyond the outfield fence, and while in flight hits the fault line pole. So, sa sinabi ko, lahat yun siya is fair ball. Next section is section 30, the fair territory. Kaya na is fair ball, ngayon is a fair territory. Ang fair territory is that part of the playing field. So, part siya ng playing field na kung saan, and it is including the first and third base fault line from home base to the bottom of the extreme playing field fence and perpendicularly upward. Next section is section 31, the fake tag. A fake tag is a form of obstruction on the runner while advancing or returning to the base by a fielder who is not in position or the ball. So that impedes the progress of the runner. So the runner does not have to stop or slide. Merely slowing down when the fake tag is simulated would constitute obstruction. Next is section 31, the fielder. So, a fielder is any defensive player of the team on the field. Ang fielders na yung defensive team, yung tig-catch, tigbantay ng mga base, ganun. Yes. Next is the section 33, the fly ball. Ang fly ball is a ball batted onto the air. Next section is section 34 rather. So, 34 is the flex player. So, it is for the first pitcher only. Ang flex player is the starting player for whom the designated player is batting and whose name appears in the 10th position of the lineup card. Next is the section 35, the force out. A force out is an out which can made only when the runner loses the right of the base which he is occupying because the batter becomes the batter runner. And before the batter runner or the succeeding runner has been put out. On an appeal play, the force out is determined by the force situation and situation at the time the appeal is made. So not all the time of the infraction, if the force has been broken by an out of the succeeding runner prior to the appeal when this is no longer a force out. Next is section 36, the forfeit. A forfeit is the act of the plate and umpire ruling that the game is over by declaring the non-offending team the winner. Next is the section 37, the fault ball. The fault ball is legally batted ball which settled on the fault territory between home and first base or between home and third base. Bounced past first and third on or over full territory. First touches on full territory beyond first and third base. While on or over full territory touches the person, attacked or detached equipment or clothing of an umpire or player or any object foreign to the natural ground. Next is touches the batted or the bat in the batter's hand a second time while the batter is within the batter's box. Gets directly from the bat, not higher than the batter's head, to any part of the catcher's body or equipment and is caught by another fielder. And lastly, hits the pitcher's plate or rolls untouched the full territory before reaching first and third base. Next section is section 38, the full territory. Ang full territory is any part of the playing field that is not included in fair territory. Pag hindi siya include sa fair territory, it is a full territory. Next is section 39, which is the full tip. Full tip is a batted ball na kung saan goes directly from the bat to the catcher's hand and goes not higher than the batter's head and is legally caught by the catcher. Next section is the section 40, which is the helmet. Ang helmet must have two ear flaps and shall be the type that has safely features equal to or greater than those provided by the full plastic cup with padding on the inside. A linear covering the ears only does not meet the rule specification. Next is worn by the catcher. Maybe the skull type without the ear flaps. So ang helmet ng catcher wala siyang ear flaps. Then worn by the defensive player does not need ear flaps. That is cracked, broken, dented, or altered shall be declared an illegally helmet or removed from the game. So kapag yung helmet is crack siya, sira, hindi siya pwede sa laro. Tatanggalin yan siya. Illegal helmet ang bawal. Next is section 41, the home team. Ang home team is a team on whose grounds the game is played, or if the game is played on neutral ground, the home team shall be designated by mutual agreement or by flip of the coin. The home team shall take the third base, dugout, and play defense first. Next section is section 41, the illegal bat. Ang illegal bat is one that does not meet the requirements in the Rule 3. And in the Rule 3, section 1, so we will discuss it later. Next is section 43, the illegal extra player. Sa second picture ito siya. An illegal extra player is one who violates any of the provision of Rule 4, Section 6. So, malalaman natin kung ano yun siya later, in the next video. Or later. Next is Section 44, the illegal pitcher. Ang illegal pitcher is a player legally in the game, but one who may not pitch as a result of being removed from the pitching position by the umpire as a result of the defensive change conference limit being exceeded, or ang second pitcher only or second pitcher naman being removed from the pitching position by the umpire as a result of pitching with excessive speed after a warning. Next section is section 45, the illegal player. Ang illegal player is a player na who takes a position in the lineup, either on offense or defense, who has not reported to the plate umpire. So, illegal player siya na kapag dun siya sa lineup, nakalista siya dun sa card or lineup ninyo, but wala siya sa mismong or hindi siya nag-report sa plate umpire. Ganun. And a player who takes a position on offensive or defense man yun siya, who does not have a legal right to that position. Next is a section 46, the illegal re-entry. Ang illegal re-entry occurs when kapag a starting player returns to the game a second time after twice being substituted. So, illegal yun siya. A starting player returned to the game after being substituted but not in his original position in the offensive lineup. Next is illegal siya if a substitute who has legally been in the game returns to the game after being substituted for by either the original starting player or other substitution. Next is the starting DP for the first pitcher only, or his substitute is placed into the batting order in the position other than his original starting position. And a flex player who is placed in the batting order in a position other than that of the starting DP. Next section, let's move to the next section, the 47 section, the illegal substitution. An illegal substitution is a player who has entered the game without being announced to the umpire. So, illegal substitution siya kapag pumasok ka sa mismong laro, pero hindi siya gi-grant or hindi siya gi-announce ng mismong umpire. So, he may be as a substitute who has not previously been in a game, a legal player, a declared ineligible player, an illegal re-entry, or an illegal DP or flex player or EP, and a replacement player who remain in the game as a announced substitution. So let's move to the section 28, the illegal batted ball. Illegal batted ball occurs when batter hits the ball fair or fault. So kapag first is kapag yung entire foot is completely out of the batter's box. And also kapag a second is while any part of the batter's foot, pag ikaw ang batter, pag ang paa mo is touching the home plate, illegal batted ball yun. And also, while containing the ball with an illegal, non-approved or alter bat. And lastly, after he stepped with their foot entirely out of the batted box and then returns and make contact with the ball while within the batter's box. Okay, next is section 49, the illegally caught ball. Ang illegally caught ball occurs kapag ang fielder is na-catch niya yung batted or throw or pitch na bola with his cap, mask, gloves, or any part of his uniform while it is detached from its proper plate. Next, section 50 is the ineligible player. An ineligible player is a player na no longer legally participate in the game because the umpire has removed him. So, ineligible player ka kapag hindi ka na pinasali sa laro kasi gi-remove ka mismo ng umpire. So, an ineligible player may not longer participate as a player but may continue his game as a coach. So, kahit na hindi ka pwede maglaro, but you can be a coach. So, section 51, the ineligible replacement player. So, it is a player who may not enter the game to replace a player who must leave the game to attend to an injury that has caused bleeding. The ineligible replacement player is one who has been removed from the game by the umpire for violation of the rules and is in the current lineup or is not in the current lineup but ineligible to re-enter the game. So kahit na may injury yung player o yung kasama niya, hindi pa rin siya pwedeng pumasok sa laro. Dahil meron siyang violation kasi kitanggal siya ng umpire, ganoon. Or doon nga siya sa wala siya sa current lineup and so on. Next is the section 52, the in-flight. Ang in-flight is described as batted, thrown, or pitched ball that has not yet touched the ground or some object other than fielder. So, ang in-flight is yan na yung nabat, tinapon, or i-pitch na hindi siya nakatouch sa ground or hindi pa siya nahawakan ng fielder or yung catcher. Next is section 53, the in jeopardy. Ang jeopardy is a term indicating that the ball is in play and an offensive player may be put out. Next section is section 54, the infield. Ang infield is that portion of the field in fair territory. So, part siya ng fair territory na kung saan includes area normally covered by infielders. Next is section 55, the infielders. Ang infielders is a defensive player. So, ang infielder is, yun na yung mga defensive player. Include dito yung pitcher, catcher, who is generally positioned anywhere near or within the line on the base paths forming fair territory. A player who normally play in the outfield may be considered as infielder if he moved into the area normally covered by infielders. Next is section 56, the infield fly. Ang infield fly, it is a fair fly ball. So, wala naka-include dito yung not including the line drive or an attempt bunt. So that he be caught by the infielder with ordinary effort with first, second, and third bases are occupied. Before two are out. So, the pitcher, the catcher, and any outfielder that positions himself in the infield on the play shall be considered infielder for the purpose of his rule. Next is the section 53, the inning. Ang inning is, yan na yung position of the game within which ang team alternately on offense and defense, and in which there are 3 outs for each team. No, so ang offensive and defensive, so bawat players or bawat team meron lang 3 out for each team. So a new inning begins immediately after the final out of the previous inning. Next is a section 58. Ito na yung intentional base on balls. Ang intentional base on balls occurs kapag the defensive team desire to place the batter on first base without the requirement to deliver for pitcher's ball. So this is referred to as an international walk. The ball is dead. Next section is 59, which is the intentionally dropped fly ball. So, ang intentionally dropped fly ball is a fair fly ball. So, it includes the line, drive, or a bunt with the less than 2 outs and the runner of first base. So, which can be caught by an infielder with ordinary effort, and the infielder intentionally drops after it is controlled with a hand or a glove. So a trap ball or a fly ball allowed to bounce shall not be considered as having been intentionally dropped. Let's move to the section 60, which is the interference. Interference is the act of first, an offensive player or a team member that impede, hinder, or confuses the defensive player, so attempting to accuse a play. And also an umpire who impedes the catcher's attempt to throw out a runner who is off the base. And an umpire or runner being hit with a fair batted ball prior to it passing an infielder, including the pitcher. And lastly, it is interferences when a spectator who reaches into the playing field and impedes a fielder playing the ball or makes contact with the ball that a fielder is attempting a play on. Okay. Next section is section 61, the leaping. It is intended only for the first pitcher. So, leaping is an act of a pitcher that causes him to be airborne on his initial move or push from the pitcher's plate. The momentum built by the forward movement of the pitcher causes the entire body, including both the pivot and stepping foot, to be in the air on the same time and moving forward home plate. So the pitch is completed when the pitcher lands and with the continuous motion delivers the ball to the plate. So the pivot foot may push off or follow through with this continuous action. So leaping is a illegal action. Next is section 62. Section 62 is the legal touch or tag. Ang legal touch or tag is an action of the fielder in touching or tagging. Next is section 63, which is the legally caught ball. Ang legally caught ball occurs kapag ang fielder is na-catch catches a batted, throw, or pitched ball provided it is not caught in the fielder's cap, helmet, mask, protector, pockets, or other part of the uniform. It must be caught or firmly held by hands or gloves. So legally caught siya kapag yung hands or gloves mo yung maka-catch or maka-caught. Okay, so next is section 64, which is the line drive. Ang line drive is a ball in flight that is batted sharply and directly into the playing field. Next is section 65, which is the lineup and the lineup card. Ang lineup list of players who are currently only involved playing defensive and offensive position in a game. So, including the DP and flex player and EP. If being used. So, ang lineup, ito na yung mga listahan ng mga names, kung sino yung mga players, or sino yung mga lalaro, or sino yung mga taong pwedeng pumasok sa field. Next is the section 66, the obstruction. Ang obstruction is an act of first, a defensive player or a team member who hinders or prevents a batter from striking at or hitting the pitched ball. Second, a fielder who impedes the progress of the runner or batter runner who is legally running bases while first, not in possession of the ball, not in act of finding a batted ball, or making a fake tag without the ball, or in possession of the ball and who pushes the runner off the base, or in possession of the ball but not in act of making a play on the runner, impedes the progress of that runner while he is legally running the bases. Next, let's move to the section 67, which is the offensive player only. Offensive player only, it is first FP only. An offensive player only is a player in the batting order. That order other than the flex, for whom the DP is playing defense, the OPO continues to play offense but not play defense. Okay, let's move to the section 69, the official equipment. Some official equipment is considered to be any equipment like bats, gloves, helmet, and etc. In current use by the defensive and offensive team in the course of play, defensive equipment, gloves, for example, left on the field by the team playing offensive would not be considered as official equipment. Yes. Next is the section 70, on-deck batter. Ang on-deck batter is the offensive player whose name follows the name of the batter in the batting order. So, siya yung sunod sa batter. Next is section 71, on-deck circle. Ang on-deck circle is that yan yung area na kung saan the on-deck batter may warm up or take practice swings while waiting for the turn to enter the batter's box. So, yun yung area na pwede sila mag-practice, mag-warm up sila, ganun, bago or habang nag-aantay na siya na yung mag-bat. Next is section 72, 1 meter or 3 foot line. Ang 1 meter, 3 foot line is an area the last half distance between home and first base, where the batter runner must run to avoid being called out for interfering with a throw ball from the home plate area or with a fielder's attempt to take such a throw while running the first base. Next is section 73, the option play. Ang option play is a play in which the offensive coach or manager is given the choice on taking enforcement of the illegal action or the result of the play. So, such option includes the capture of obstruction, use of an illegal gloves, an illegal substitution, an illegal pitch, an illegal pitcher, return to game and pitching, and also a female batter on a 2-out walk. Okay, next section is section 74, the outfield. Ang outfield is that option of the field that is outside the diamond formed by the baseline of the area, not normally covered by an infielder, and within the fault lines beyond first and third bases and boundaries of the ground. Next section, section 73, which is the overslide. Ang overslide is an act of offensive player na kung saan when as a runner, he overslide, yung sobrang pag-slide as a base, he is attempting to reach. So, it is usually caused when momentum causes him to lose contact with the base. So, which then causes him to be in jeopardy. The batter runner may overslide first base without being in jeopardy, provided he immediately return to that base. Next is section 76, the overthrow. Ang overthrow is play in which ball is thrown from one field to another. So, resulting in the ball going beyond the boundary line of the playing field or becoming block. Next is the section 77, pass ball. Ang pass ball is pitch. So, it is for the first pitcher na kung saan should have been held or controlled by the catcher with ordinary effort. Next section, section 73, pitch is, which is a pitch. Ang pitch is act performed by the pitcher in delivering the ball. Yun na yung pagbigay ng, ay action ng pitcher sa pagbigay or pag-deliver ng bola papunta sa batter. Section 80 is the pivot foot. Ang pivot foot is that foot for the first pitcher only with which the pitcher pushes off the pitcher's plate. And for the second pitcher, which when placed in contact with the pitcher's plate by the pitcher must remain in contact with the pitcher's plate until the pitched ball is released. Let's move to the section 81, the play ball. Ang play ball is a term siya na ginagamit by the plate umpire to indicate that, para sabihin na ang play shall begin or umpisahan na yung laro or be resumed when the pitcher holds the ball and in with the pitcher's circle or in or on or near the pitcher's plate. Let's move to the section 82, the pre-game meeting. Ang pre-game meeting is a meeting na ginaganap at the home plate area. So, at the determined time between the umpires and the head coaches, manager, or team perspectives of the respective teams, this meeting is held to confirm the approve the lineups of each team, and to distribute the copy of the opposition, and also review any special ground rule that may be applicable. So, bago mag-start yung laro, merong tinatawag na pre-game meeting. Ang mga coaches, umpire, managers, or yung mga team perspectives, mag-meet sila para i-confirm yung approval ng lineups, tapos i-distribute yung mga copy of the opposition, and para ibigay yung mga rules in playing. Next is the section 83, the protest. Ang protest is an action of the defensive or offensive team. Objective 2, first, the interpretation or application of the playing rule by an umpire or the eligibility of a team roster member. Next section is section 84, quick return pitch. Ang quick return pitch is one made by the pitcher. So, ginagawa ito ng pitcher with the previous attempt to catch the batter of balance. This would be before the batter takes his desired position in batter's box or while he is still off balance as a result of the previous pitch. Next is section 85, the re-entry. Ito na yung re-entry is an act of any of starting players na bumalik sa laro after being legally or illegal substitution. Next is section 86, the removal from the game. Removal is an action of the umpire. So, ang umpire ang gumagamit nito para i-declare na ang player is ineligible for further participation in a game. Para i-confirm good or i-declare na yung player na yan is hindi pwede sa laro or other than as coach as a result of an infraction of the rule. Next is section 87, the replacement player. Ang replacement player is a player na required to enter to the game for a defined period of time to replace a player who must leave the game to attempt as an injury. So, a replacement player, kapag yung kasama mo is may injury, so you are define or ikaw i-replace doon sa player na yun. Next is the runner, section 88, the runner. Ang runner is a player of the team at bat who has finished to return at bat, reach first base and has not yet been put out. So, ang runner, yan na yung natapos na mag-bat, then naka-reach na siya ng first base, pero hindi pa siya na-out. Next is section 89, the slap hit. This is for the first pitcher only. So, ang slap hit is a bat ball that has been struck with a controlled short chopping motion rather than with a full swing. Next is section 90, the squeeze play. A squeeze play is a play in which the offensive team with a runner on third base, so attempt to score that runner by means of the batter contacting the ball. Next, section 91, the starting players. Ang starting players, yan na yung mga players na nakalista doon sa official lineup na binigay doon sa umpire or the plate umpire. Next is section 92, which is the stealing. Ang stealing naman, action yan siya of a runner attempting to advise during or after the pitch for the batter. Stealing is not allowed in slow pitch. Next, section 93, the strike zone. For the first, it is for the pitcher. So in first pitcher, the strike zone is that placed over any part of home plate between the batter's armpits and the top of his knees when he assumes his natural batting stance. So for the second pitcher, is the strike zone is that placed over any part of the home plate that is between the batter's back shoulder and his knees when he assumes his natural batting stance. Let's move to the section 94, the substitution. Ang substitution is player listed on the official lineup card. So, allow lang sa substitution is yung player na nakalista doon sa official lineup card. So, who is first a non-striking player who has not been in the game other than a replacement player. Second, a starting player who has left the game once and who may legally return to the lineup. So, sila lang yung pwede sa substitution. Next is section 95, the tagging up. Ang tagging up is an action of a runner returning to his base or remaining on his base before he legally advises on the batted fly ball that is at first touched by a fielder. So, not be confused with the action of the a fielder tagger tagging a base or a runner. Next is the section 96, the team member. Ang team member, yan na yung mga taong authorized to sit on the team bench. Kasi sila lang yung players team member. Kumbaga, sila lang yung pwedeng umupo doon sa bench. Next is section 97, the temporary runner. Ang temporary runner is player who may run for the catcher or a record from the preceding half inning, who is now on base with 2 out. The use of a temporary runner is optional for the offensive coach. The temporary runner must be the player. So, who at the time of taking the option is scheduled to bat last and is not on base at the time the option is taken. Okay, let's move to the section 98, the throw. Ang throw is performed by the fielder when throwing the ball to another fielder. Yung pagpapasa-pasa ng bola. Throw. Next is section 99, the time. Time is the term used by the umpire to order the suspension of play during which the ball is dead. Next, let's move to section 100, the trap ball. Ang trap ball is first a legally batted fly ball or line drive that hits the ground or a fence prior to being caught, or a legally batted fly bat that is caught against a fence with a gloves or bare hands, and or a thrown ball to any base for a force out which is caught with a glove or gloves over the ball on the ground rather than under the ball. Or for the first pitcher, a pitch ball that touches the ground on a strike prior to the catcher catching it. Okay, next is section 101 or 101, the triple play. Ang triple play naman is continuous action play by the defense on which 3 offensive players are put out. Next section 102, the turn at bat. Ang turn at bat begins kapag ang player is first enters the batter's box and continue until the batter is put out or become a batter runner. Next is the section 103, the wild pitch. Ang wild pitch is pitch yan siya na mataas, so high, so low, or so wide of a plate that the catcher cannot or does not stop and control it with ordinary effort. Next is section 104, the wild throw. Kung may wild pitch, may wild throw. Ang wild throw is a play in which a ball is thrown from one fielder to another and cannot be caught or controlled, is not blocked or remain in play. So the last section in the rule 1 is section 101, which is the withdrawn player. So ang withdrawn player is a player forced to leave the game. So parang gipilit siya na umalis sa laro or sa lineup in accordance with the replacement player ruling. Okay, so let's move to the rule 2. Rule 2 is the playing field. So in this rule, it has a 4 section. So first section is the playing field. Ito na yung area na kung saan yung bola is legally played and fielded. So shall have a clear and unobstructed area within the minimum radius as set out in the distance table from home plate between the fault line. So ang sukat nito is a minimum of 3.65 meter, which is 12 feet, to maximum of 4.57 meters or 15 feet from the outfield and side fences. Next is section 2, which is the ground or special rule. A ground or special rules establishing the limit of the playing field may be agreed upon the leagues or opposing team whenever backstop, fences, stands, vehicles, spectators or other obstructions are within the prescribed area. Okay, next is the section 3. The official diamond shall have baseline and pitching distance as a step out in the distance table. So note that if during the game the base distance is or the pitching distance is found to be at the wrong distance, correct the error at the start of the next full inning and continue playing the game. Next, the last section in Rule 2 is the diamond layout. Ang diamond layout refers siya sa drawing showing official dimensions of the softball diamond. So the details instruction to lay out diamond with 18.29 meters, which is 60 feet. So baseline and yan yung baseline, and 14.2 or 46 feet for pitching distance can be found. Okay, so let's move to the Rule 3, which is the equipment. So it has a okay, so sa Rule 3, meron siyang 9 sections. So first section is the official bat. Ang official bat shall be of one-piece construction, multi-piece, permanently assembled, or two-piece interchangeable construction. If the bat is designed with interchangeable component, it must meet the following criteria. So first, the matting component must have a unique locking key to prevent uncertified equipment combination in the field. So the second is all component combination must meet the same standard as if it were a one-piece bat when combined, or a portion of a one-piece bat in separated. So ang official bat shall be made of one piece of hardwood or formed from a block or wood consisting of two or more pieces of wood bound together. So ang official bat shall be metal, bamboo, plastic, graphite, carbon, magnesium, fiberglass, ceramic, or any other composition material provided by the ISF. So ang bat is not more than 34 inches long, nor hindi siya pwede mag-exceed sa 38 ounces in weight. Next, section 2 is the warm-up bat. Ang warm-up bat must be of one-piece construction. And it shall comply with the safety grip and safety knob requirements of the official bat. So it must have a marked warm-up. So dapat meron talaga siyang marka na nakalagay warm-up in 1 and 1/4 inches ang kalaki. So letters on the barrel end. Next, let's move to the section 3, the official softball. Ang official softball shall be a regular, smooth, seamed, concealed, stitched, or flat surface ball. So next is the gloves and mitts. Any players have wear gloves, but only the catcher and the first base must use mitts. So ang gagamit lang ng mitts is yung first baseman, pati ang catcher. Next, section 5 is the shoes. Yung shoes na ginagamit nila. So all members must wear shoes. So the shoes shall be considered official if it is made with either canvas or leather, uppers or similar material, and is fully enclosed. Number 6, or the section 6, is the protective equipment. Protective equipment, first is mask. For the first picture, the catchers must wear mask, throat protector, and helmet. Next is section 7, the equipment on playing field. Equipment that is not part of the official equipment shall not be left lying on the playing field in either fair or full territory. Next, so di ba sa section 7, the equipment on playing field, so dapat ang equipment hindi siya part ng official equipment, pero dapat hindi siya iniiwan sa playing field. Next, section 8 is the uniform. So all players of the team shall wear uniform alike in color, trim, and style. So a reference to coaches, uniform is found under Rule 4, Section 1B. Next is, or last, is a Section 9, which is the all equipment. So notwithstanding the foregoing, the ISF reserves the right to withhold or withdraw approval of any equipment which in the ISF's sole determination significantly changes the character of the game, affect the safety of participants or spectators, or renders a player's performance more a product of his equipment rather than his individual skill. Okay. Next, let's move to the rule number 4, which is the coach, players, and substitutes. So it has a 13 sections. So first section is the coach. Ang coach is responsible for first is the head coach. Siya yung responsible in signing the lineup card. So coaches must be neatly attired, so including the wearing of suitable footwear or dressed in team uniform. An offensive team coach is an eligible member of the team but who takes his place on the field within the coach's box. Okay, next is section 2, which is the lineup card and rosters. First, official lineup card are not be completed and submitted to the official scorer and the plate umpire at the start of the game. So the plate umpire retain the card for the duration of the game. Next, section 3, the players. So a team shall consist of players in the following position. So first is the fast pitch. 9 players, pitcher 1, catcher 2. So sa fast pitch, merong 9 players, which is a pitcher, catcher, first baseman, second baseman, third baseman, shortstop, left fielder, center fielder, and the right fielder. So 9. Next is the fast pitch with a designated player. So meron siyang 10 players. So same as the fast pitcher plus a DP. Number 3 is the slow pitch. 10 players din siya, including pitcher, catcher, first base, and the right center fielder. As ang nagdagdag naman dito is yung left center fielder. Next is the slow pitch with the extra player. So 11 players siya. So same, pareha sila ng slow pitch. Pero meron ng extra player. Okay, let's move to section 4, the starting player. So a starting player shall be official with the lineup card inspected and approved by the plate umpire and team representative at the pregame meeting. So ang starting player dapat nakalagay na yung mga pangalan nila doon sa lineup card and it is approved by the plate umpire. Next is section 5, the designated player. A designated player referred to as a DP may be used as a batter for any defensive player provided it is made known prior to the start of the game and his name is entered in the lineup sheet. So the starting DP may be a substitute and may re-enter one time. And the name of the defensive player for whom the DP is batting, position on the lineup sheet. And the starting player list as the DP must remain in the same position in the batting order whenever he is in the game. And the DP and his substitution or replacement may never play offense at the same time, and the DP may be substituted for at any time, either by the batter or runner. Next, section 6 is the extra player. Extra player refer to EP. So, an extra player is used, he must use to the entire game. So, gamit na gamit siya sa entire game. So, all 11 must bat and any 10 can play defense. So, the extra player dapat mag-remain siya at the same position in the batting order for the entire game. So, the starting EP or the extra player may re-enter the game one time after having been substitute as long as he returned to the position in the batting order that he occupied. Next is the section 7, the re-entry. Ang re-entry naman, any of the starting player may be substituted and re-enter once, provided such players occupy the same batting position whenever they are in the lineup. So the manager or coach removes the substitute from the game and re-enter the same substitute later in the game. And last, when a starting player re-enter the game and occupies a different position in the offensive lineup, it is considered as illegal re-entry. Next section is the substitute or illegal player. Ang substitute may take the place of the player whose name is in his team's lineup. So the following regulations govern play substitution. So first, the coach or the team perspective of the team making substitution. A substitution shall immediately notify the plate umpire. So if a substitute enters the game without reporting, pag mag-substitute ka pero hindi mo siya na-report and after the pitch have been thrown or after the play has been made, the player will be declared ineligible So next is the section 9, the disputed calls. Any team member disputing any judgment decision by the umpire. So ang umpire na mag-decision nito will constitute a team warning. So any repeat offense shall result in the ejection of that team member. Next, section 10, the dugout conduct. First, coaches, players, substitutions, or other bench personnel shall not be outside the designated dugout area, except when the rules allow or when considered justified by the umpire. Next, section 11, there is the replacement player. So in the event or any player bleeding during the game, so that player must be withdrawn from the game if the bleeding cannot be stopped within a reasonable length of time. So i-withdraw siya, kumbaga tanggalin siya sa game. Or his uniform become covered with blood. Pag hindi na ma-stop talaga yung bleeding, i-withdraw yung player. A withdraw player shall not return to the game. So hindi na siya pwedeng bumalik sa laro kapag hindi nahinto yung bleeding. So the injury cleaned and covered, and if necessary, his uniform replaced. Next is section 12. Section 12 is the temporary runner. So it is for the first pitcher only. A temporary runner is legal for a catchers. So off record from the previous half inning, who is on base with 2 out. So the following previews applied. So first, it is optional for the offensive team manager. So depende sa offensive team manager, no. So next is the temporary runner may be used anytime after the second out occurred. And last, the temporary runner is the player scheduled to bat last. So siya ang pinaka-last na mag-bat and who is not on base at the time of the position, the option is taken. So wala siya sa base. Section 13, the violation and penalties. So first is team members shall not make disparaging or insulting remark to or about opposing player, official or spectators or committee's other act that could be considered unsportsmanlike conduct. So ang team members or yung mga spectators, committees, bawal silang kumbaga yan tawag dyan, bawal silang mag-insult ng mga player kasi it caused or tatawag siyang unsportsmanlike. Second, the penalty for violation by the team member shall be, first, is for the first offense, the offender may be warned. So pag first offense, warning pa lang siya. For the second offense, or if the first offense is considered serious enough by the umpire, the offender is rejected. So kahit na unang offense mo pa lang yon, pero para sa umpire, yung hindi na siya dapat kinoconsider or serious na siya masyado, the offender is rejected na sila. Next is a team member rejected from the game shall go directly to the dressing room for the remaining of the game and leave the ground. So pag yung team mo is di-reject na, yung hindi ka na pwedeng bumalik sa ground, means pag rejected ka na, pwede ka na umalis sa ground, hindi ka na pwedeng bumalik. Next is the failure of the person so ejected to leave the game immediately will warrant a forfeiture of the game. Pag hindi pa umalis sa ground yung rejected person, it will warrant a forfeiture of the game. And lastly, an officiating umpire may report a team member for offensive conduct, language, or physical abuse anytime after the game has been called, in which case the report team member will appear before the organization under which the game or tournament is played. So that's end my report in the softball rule 1 to 4. So thank you for listening.